Welcome to Place of Badger.
I'm Syracilo.
And we're here to watch the Coarse Heirs versus the Crazy 8's.
That is a big team difference.
600. You can get Master Chefs twice.
I don't know if they'll let you do it.
I don't think so.
But, you know, the Corsairs could always use more rerolls, right?
Yeah. So, right now, it's very sunny. We'll see if that sticks.
It'd be interesting if it was.
And Crazy 8's receiving the ball, so this is going to be interesting.
I think that's really what needs to happen. Is the Crazy 8's need to have possession of the ball first, force the Corsairs into contact as much as possible. Let that drive happen, because that's the way that they're going to get injuries and get some of these some wily motherfuckers off the field. Because as we know that a grind team like that is going to get one, if they're lucky, per half. I shouldn't say if they're lucky. They should be getting one per half.
On average.
Right.
That should be their goal. If they get more, awesome.
Right. And the Corsairs were expecting one on defense, or I shouldn't say on defense, in response to the attack. So they should be able to get one as well. So it's going to be, you know, a 2-2 game.
So, yep, going for the blitz on the Bloodthirster.
So who did he blitz there? Was that do you think that was the guy to do it?
It was just dodge.
It's not bad.
I probably would have gone for anybody without, because right now you're just trying to reduce numbers, because they're all agility 4, so they're all a pain, and then go for the high skilled characters later. Just get guys out of there.
Yeah, but it was yeah.
Failed something. It looked like it's probably gone by now. It was a both down on it was a one die both down.
That's strong.
So one die on a guy who didn't have block. And this is the kind of stuff I think that people get frustrated with, is I don't think they understand the odds of die rolls, and then they do these one dies and then they get frustrated with the game in general. Using break tackle, trying to get to this guy in particular, it looks like. Yeah. Break tackle into 2 tackle zones. Still, I mean, not really big risk, but... And then using a team reroll for Loner. Halfling Master Chef's also burning 2 or 3 rerolls, so... He's
2 rerolls.
Yep, he's already turned 3 down to 2 rerolls, so... opting to basically first action go with the Bloodthirster every turn, just about.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily with a reason, you know? That's the issue that I have with it. If he was moving guys off of the ball, or moving the Bloodthirster into
prime
maybe blitzing contact and then repositioning the Bloodthirster, because when he was successful, he was putting that Bloodthirster on the point.
Yeah. Right over here, this could be a risky situation. He has built his cage with a character adjacent. But does not one die with a both down, then attacker down, so not risky at all, I guess.
Wow. I'm not going to say it wasn't risky, it happened to go well.
Not reforming your cage properly, and then doing a one die. Man, a lot of, what's that, the third one die turnover in this game already, and we're 8 turns in, 4 for each.
Right, and I don't see an excuse for that, especially the way that his team is built. He shouldn't be at a strength disadvantage.
Yeah, that was a bad setup. He had the players to reform that cage properly. I guess one dies are okay, but go for it's are too much. Despite the fact that go for it's have better odds than a one die.
Yeah, sorry AJ, but I'm not gonna let you do my taxes, bro.
Yeah, so lost a really powerful drive there, and now is looking pretty shabby at this point, and no backfield presence. Could change that with a couple pit fighters moving back, but we'll see if he does it.
Yeah, and that's the tough part about that was he was in such a good position. He had control of the ball. He had good depth presence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Opting to blitz with the Bloodthirster over here instead of blitzing with somebody to put more presence on the ball.
Yeah, I think that he's fallen back into old habits.
Yep, down to no rerolls with half of the drive remaining.
Because he's going to need some rerolls to get into position on defense.
Mm-hmm. And Elves kicking players onto the ball, trying to get it popped up into their hand, and it worked. When you're an Elf, sometimes kicking people on the ball, especially when you're outnumbering them 5-2, is a pretty good move.
That's where the risk might not be a terrible one.
So he's setting up backfield presence to try to stop this worried rigger from catching. Adopting another. I guess there wasn't really anybody else to use the blitz on, but so
There was a lot of contact around that ball there, huh?
Yep. Unfortunately, failing that dodge right there. Had he had rerolls, that would have been a lot better. And this is the point of the drive where burning those rerolls on one dies and early Bloodthirster starts to hurt you now. Not at the time, now.
Right. It's when you have to do things and need a reroll versus having or choosing to do things and using a reroll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with certain comments that I've seen on the threads from a couple people and just kind of mannerisms I've seen in games, I think people really do not understand the purposes of team rerolls. The team reroll is not there for you to make up for stupid decisions.
Well, and they're not there. Yeah, you're exactly right. They're not there to. They're not discretionary allowances where, hey, let's do something because I have two chances at it. It's not a way to increase the odds of something succeeding. You should be confident that it succeeds on odds, or be okay with it not succeeding. But and we've seen it in some of the more experienced coaches where they make a move, it fails, and they don't use a team reroll on it.
Yeah, something that has a relatively difficult task or not very important.
Right, where you go, well, you know what? I'm going to save the reroll for when it counts. This is something.
And
hey,
real quick before it disappears, a really critical mistake right here. The person that was dump off 2 had no skills whatsoever, so no nerves of steel or anything. And being a little bloodthirsty with the Bloodthirster, he blitzed the character with dump off first before adding any presence onto that lineman, which caused the dump off to be extraordinarily easy, and then he had no blitz left.
Yep, that's tough.
So had he painted that, noticed that it had dump off and painted that receiver, he could have actually stopped that touchdown from happening. But continue with the rerolls.
Oh, but I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about it's not.
Oh yeah, don't use. You should only use rerolls when something's important. Now,
exactly.
If something's gonna fail, maybe like a last turn. Like if you want to do a last turn, one die block when you have block and your opponent doesn't, and it's off ball, and it doesn't super matter whether or not that player has your opponent player has an ability, or they're just not. It's a way to increase your overall whatever. Then by all means go ahead and take it. Just don't use the reroll. Like if you're gonna use those are the things when you're like, man, I can fail this, but it's not super important. Don't reroll something silly.
Exactly. And this is a really terrible setup for a line if you have the strength advantage. Why would you not just put them next to the Bloodthirster? You're allowing him to beat the living shit out of 2 of your players. And this guy even has guard. You could put this guy in between the 2 and make the Bloodthirster 6 and the other guy 4.
Yeah, I think he's trying to spread too much when I don't think that he has a healthy enough respect for the punch ability. Maybe.
Well, his majority of his players, especially standing, are the same strength as the Elf team. So dividing his players gives the strength advantage to the Elves if they go first.
Right, and his strength advantage is with horns.
Exactly. And he only gets it on one player per turn.
Right, but that's significant when it's significant, and it's on offense.
All right, so basically no presence on these players. A lot of infiltration because of his line. His line was set up so bad.
He's going to get a lot of the Corsairs are going to get a lot of 2-die blocks.
Yep, there's the handoff. There's the blitz to get through, and touchdown.
And that was a 2-die block that was dealt to him because of a mismatched defense.
Yeah, that was
where we say that those guys are strength 3 versus strength 3. If you leave guys open or you don't mark them effectively, I know these guys have dodge and they're gonna get out when they essentially if they want to, but don't make it easy for them. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're one-on-one.
I mean, he's going first, so it's not as excruciating, but he left him like that after watching his line crumble. So this is I think where players get frustrated is they something happens and then they just claim elf bullshit or die rolls when they don't look at it what happened and they just keep the formation the same. They're like, "Meh, it'll work this time."
Yeah, and it never does work that second time. That was the first time that we've seen that an attempt at a waterfall, right?
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, he didn't have enough presence on the line to do it effectively, and now he's opting to do 1-dies with Frenzy and just getting lucky with it.
Right. Cage break in action.
Yep, starting your cage with adjacent
and
players.
And then he's going to blitz right up onto his nose, right?
So we've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks. If you build a cage with players adjacent, you are inviting openings. So now he's kind of fixing everything, standing everybody up, and then he's going to do a 2-die blitz against this Bloodletter.
Right through the middle.
Didn't get
it.
But he didn't focus on protecting the ball or covering the ball, so he made a mistake over on that side. I think he was trying to open it for the 2-die and couldn't get it open for the 2-die. It would have been a 1-die, and he had nobody with block that was free. Because all of his, and that's unfortunate. 3 turns in, and he's down to 1 reroll.
He used one on the loner though, yeah.
I believe so. I think the loner, and then he failed that dodge without being able to use the reroll. So the Bloodthirster eating up his team reroll and basically giving the Corsairs the touchdown. I think you're right, man. He's going back to his old habits. I think the team is the Bloodthirster to him, and everybody else is not. Despite them being, he's got level 4 players that he's basically just ignoring and putting adjacent to people, and opts to go with the Bloodthirster despite not having tackle, not having block, all these abilities that these other players do have to stop people. He's hitting a guy with dodge and dodge and dump off with a Bloodthirster instead of the guys that are made to kill that guy.
I'm with that. I think that's the...
And a failed pickup happens. But he's got excellent presence, so, I mean, it's a touchdown. And he's got all his guys... Because this is what he does. He puts everybody one-on-one and then plays the Bloodthirster.
Because when you put players one-on-one, then you don't have the ability to dodge out like the Elves do.
Mm-hmm. The Elves can go and do what they need to do, find these 2-on-2s, and that's why you're getting out punched by his team, is because you're allowing him to control where the fight's going to be at. Just stop playing the Bloodthirster. It's as simple as that. The Bloodthirster is not your main weapon in this army.
Yeah, and it does spread a lot. I mean, I would use him to get adjacent to somebody, to threaten somebody, to make a presence.
Still didn't bring in those cultists enough.
But, he's got all those guys with horns that he's not able to utilize horns on because he's always taken the blitz with the Bloodthirster.
All right, so failed going for it, had not moved a single player other than that guy, so...
Yeah, and that's not one, hey, going for it's a bad luck to fail, but if you can
You
if you
had
can
no
do something
rerolls.
other than if you could do something other than make one of your guys roll the dice, that would have been a super move.
All right, regeneration worked for that both down.
Is that how many guys has that Bloodthirster put down this game?
Uh,
Two?
maybe. Did he actually put down that one guy right there?
No, he put he
No,
put
that player. Well, maybe he did. I don't know. Because no, that was the one the bloodletter put himself down with that catcher on
fair
on a
play.
both down, and he almost injured the player, but he regened
So
it.
yeah.
Oof, man. All right. Corsairs, you were never given an opportunity to mess up. So, good game. Crazy Eights, man. If I'm not mistaken, he's in the playoff. He's going into the playoffs, so I don't know why he's playing like some of the. And I'm not trying to be offensive here, but he's playing like some of the other teams, kind of pretty reckless and loose, despite having a season still to play.
Yeah, that's a true point. Is you really should be focusing on that long game because he has the potential to play two more games this season.
Two more, if not the cup as well.
Nah, don't worry. I'm not worried about that.
What a dick. All right, man. You need to see where your team is crumbling at. And I think that's especially now at the end of the season. People are not. They're not looking at a. When they're. I think people are fucking looking away from the game when it's the opponent's turn. I really think that's what's starting to happen. Is that people are getting bored and not watching their opponents play.
That's interesting.
And how can you get better if you don't watch where you're failing? If somebody scores on you, it's because you fucked up. Whether it's from rolls or a bad strategy, you messed up. If you don't watch what's happening, how are you supposed to get better? Because there's no way that people could be making the same mistake 2, 3, 5 times if you're watching. I don't
I
believe
would
that.
agree with that. Now that I understand the way that you're going with this, that if somebody scores on you in the same way 3 times in a row, it's not because of good dice. It's because you created a situation where the dice were in their advantage.
Mm-hmm. And you need to be watching other people play. And I've talked to a couple of people where they're like, "Oh, my opponent takes so long that I just play another game while I'm playing." Well, that's funny to fucking joke about. You're doing yourself a huge disservice because you're not learning. And generally other coaches, even if they're not better than you, might do something that you can learn from, or it might pose a question in your mind. You're like, maybe I should look that up.
Yeah, how did that work? Or that was an interesting way to do it. Let's see how this turns out, or what can I do to stop that? By being challenged, it's changes things.
And I think that's a lot where these 3-0, 5-1, all this stuff is that just people aren't focusing. And I know this is just, you can always throw out it's just a game, but if you don't put the effort in, like, well,
By not, it's only fun when you're doing your best. Now you can lose doing your best and you can win doing your best, but as long as you feel pretty good about how you finish, that's all right,
Mm-hmm. I don't know. At this point, I feel like I'm just venting frustration because it's tough to watch somebody. It's tough to watch somebody flounder on the same mistakes over and over again and then get frustrated and not want to play.
Yeah, and that's what we hope to avoid is people turning away from Blood Bowl based on a season that's not as stellar as they had hoped, but
And
learning and growing and having fun in that developmental process, because that's really what it is. Developing the team and developing your skills make this fun.
yeah, I don't want to see people leave. I want people to play and learn and get better and enjoy it. And because if we lose more people, then it won't be as exciting seeing different teams, and it won't be as educational, I don't think. But
Agreed.
whatever, we're getting a little bit too far off of what the game was. Decent game. Overall, just Crazy Eights, man. Focus on your whole team, not just that Bloodthirster. That fucking Bloodthirster is ruining your season. He's just fucking garbage, man. That's a garbage fucking player that just fucking eating rerolls for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then fucking shitting all over your team about it.
And that's a tough team. The Corsairs are a tough team to get an advantage of with the skills that Bloodthirster has. So that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So we'll leave it at that. Sorry for the long-winded and fucking existential shit, but please enjoy Blood Bowl, and if you need help, ask. And then after you ask and we answer, take the fucking hint and try something. Don't just go, oh, that's a great idea, fucking asshole, bye, and then go fucking put two guys on the opposite sides of your line and go, why are they getting pushed?
No power.
Sorry. Later.
Later.